Is the Bugatti Chiron the world's fastest car? That's the world's fastest car, lagging behind Tesla's latest sedan. Out of 5 races, this Tesla Plaid won 4. 4! Let that sink in. So how is this possible? How has Tesla created a sedan that can outpace a supercar? Tesla's incredible engine. Vehicles are only as powerful as their engine. The Tesla Plaid is no different, and its engine can be found where most, if not all, other EV engines are often found, on its floor. This floor is known as the powertrain. Think of it as an electric vehicle's motherboard. Both the batteries and the motors can be found here. Unlike all other Tesla models before it and other EVs, the Plaid's powertrain has 3 new carbon-wrapped motors. But more on that in a second. The motors are easily the most important part of an EV. In the Model S Plaid, its carbon-wrapped motors are the primary reason why it is capable of such ungodly feats of acceleration. But hold on one second. Before we get lost using terms that you might or might not be familiar with, I think it's important that we brush up on the basics of what motors are first. More importantly, how they make electric vehicles work, so we can truly appreciate why this engine is marvelous. Electric motors. To create motion, an electric motor uses electromagnetism to convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. The magnets within the electrical motor can be divided into the rotor and the stator. The stator is a stationary curved magnet that appears to act as a protective shield around the other magnet. This other magnet is the rotor, and it isn't stationary. When this rotor is wrapped in a metallic coil, it becomes an electromagnet, capable of switching the charges or polarity of its ends. And if you're familiar with how magnets behave, then you know that they repel and attract depending on what charges are on the end of either magnet. Now, when this electromagnetic rotor is placed on an axis within a stator, its polarity interacts with the polarity of the rotor and causes the latter to spin. In the world of EVs, that spinning motion is referred to as an RPM, also known as revolutions per minute. This serves as a measurement for the number of rotations the rotor makes in a minute, which is often directly linked with the speed of the vehicle in question. Now, the higher the electrical current flowing into the motor, the higher the strength of the electromagnetic field, and the faster the rotor can spin, and the faster the RPM. That's how motors work in a nutshell. It's a simplified version, and I've skimmed over a lot of things, but don't worry, you won't get lost. Now, let's talk about the Plaid's special carbon-wrapped motor. For the longest time, Tesla has been bent on revamping the powertrain of their lineup. In the past, the older Tesla vehicles, including the older Model S, featured the dual motor. However, the new Plaid features a new tri-motor powertrain, which consists of a single front motor and 2 motors in the rear. The new powertrain is a marvelous feat of engineering, and it, along with its components, was in no way easy to make. During the Model S Plaid delivery event, Elon Musk announced that the powertrain featured new battery packs, but to be frank, they aren't really new. The original plan was to use a structural battery pack along with the framed 4680 batteries that Tesla has planned for years to manufacture with the help of Panasonic. These batteries would have worked with all the other parts of the powertrain to achieve the insane performance that the Plaid currently features. But the year 2020 happened. The pandemic choked supply chains, and the pressure for production of the Plaid reached such feverish heights that Tesla was forced to recall and repurpose the 1865 cell that was used in the original Roadster. Somehow, they made it work. However, beyond the battery cell, one of the more impressive achievements on the powertrain of Model S Plaid has to be its motors. Since the Plaid Model S functions on what you could call a single-speed gearbox, and because this cancels any gear reductions, the motors operate at very high speeds and can reach up to 20,000 RPM or more. This incredibly fast motor rotation allows the Tesla to move from 0 to 200 miles on a single speed. And even more impressively, it can maintain those top speeds for extended periods. But this brings up more questions. We know that high rotational speeds cause the rotor to expand, and that the centrifugal force from those levels of rotation should easily unravel the coils on the rotor, rendering the vehicle useless, or worse, dangerous. Elon Musk had an answer to this.
And then something we're really proud of is the new carbon-sleeved rotors for the motor. So this is the first time that, to the best of our knowledge, there's been a production electric motor that has a carbon overwrapped rotor. This is a super hard thing to do because carbon and copper have very different rates of thermal expansions.
So, taking what Elon said, the 3 rotors within the motors of the Plaid's powertrain are carbon wrapped. Remember when I said that wrapping coils around a rotor turns them into electromagnets? Well, Elon says that they had to design a machine that wrapped the carbon on the rotor at extremely high tensions, which according to him was incredibly hard, but also according to him created an electromagnetic field that was extremely efficient. Carbon fiber is a very durable material. It is 5 times as strong as steel and has a much lower rate of thermal expansion, so it will remain constant even when the temperatures shoot to the roof. But this raises yet another problem that we have skimmed over so far. The carbon wrapping is good for keeping the rotor in place, but it does nothing to mitigate the heat. And when a rotor is rotating at 20,000 RPMs, you can bet there will be a lot of heat. Thankfully, the Tesla team was way ahead of us in mitigating this issue. There's hardly anything that directly impacts the performance of a vehicle's engine than overheating. And to achieve peak condition, there has to be a proper thermal management system within that vehicle. Both the motors and the battery pack have to remain cool. In the first generation of the Tesla Model S, and after just a few quarter-mile runs, the vehicle's power would be drastically throttled down to protect its battery and motors from overheating. However, every iteration of the Model S leading up to the Plaid has seen improvements in its thermal management system.
We also have the latest and greatest in heat pump, which is basically the HVAC system for the car. It's 30% better cold weather range and requires 50% less energy for cabin heating in freezing conditions. Yeah, so you'll see very little degradation in cold weather.
Elon also speaks about the radiator, which is 2 times as big as its previous iterations. And he also says that it's one of the defining factors why the Plaid can go from 0 to 60 over and over again without burning up. Now, I might have hinted at it at the beginning of this video, but I think it's time we properly addressed it. Just how fast is the Tesla Plaid Model S? I mean, is it an insane engine if it doesn't give the car insane speed? Understanding the impressive speed of the Plaid requires a quick trip down Tesla's past. We need to first compare this beast to its previous iterations. June 2012. After years of waiting, the original Model S is finally released. And to the delight of Tesla customers the world over, it is a twin-motor, all-wheel luxury vehicle capable of moving from 0 to 60 mph in 4.2 seconds. That kind of speed wasn't meant to be found on an EV in 2012. So, driving a Model S at the time was not too different from fighting in the American Civil War with nuclear weapons. But Tesla wasn't done. Not yet. They began dishing out upgrades with the enthusiasm of a granny spoiling her favorite nephew on Thanksgiving. By 2015, car enthusiasts were so impressed with the upgrades that Business Insider released this article, where they fawned endlessly over the already impressive Model S. And you can't blame them. One of the upgrades, called the Insane Mode, pushed the Model S down from 4.2 seconds for the 0 to 60 second sprint to 3.8 seconds. The next major upgrade, called the Ludicrous Mode, pushed the time down further to an unbelievable 2.8 seconds, shattering the 3-second barrier and entering with all 4 wheels into supercar territory. This was the kind of speed you only found with classics like Ferrari LaFerrari and the McLaren P1, both of which cost over $1 million. In contrast, that version of the Model S went for just $100,000. Today, the latest Model S, the Plaid, does 0 to 60 in 1.88 seconds, way faster than the Bugatti Chiron and possibly way faster than any other supercar in the world today. And don't just take my word for it, take the word of professionals who put the Plaid vehicle to the test. Professional race car driver Randy Pobes drove the Plaid on a Laguna Seca track. The Tesla was pitted against actual sports cars. On the track was the Porsche GT2 RS, a McLaren Senna, and a McLaren P1. At first, the McLaren Senna took the lead, but the Tesla quickly caught up and passed it like it wasn't even moving. An article that documented the race mentioned Pobes remarking that the Model S Plaid, which only had 34% charge remaining then, felt just as quick as it did when it still had a full charge. This means that the Tesla Plaid will maintain high speed over long distances with no power loss, even as the battery state decreases. And if you don't know, I'll tell you. The Plaid is not Tesla's supercar. That title belongs to their other, more exclusive offering, the Roadster. The Plaid Model S is Tesla's premium 4-door sedan, a family vehicle made for luxurious practicality. It might move like a McLaren, but it won't turn heads like one. Sure, it has an impressive sound system and a state-of-the-art infotainment system with PS5-level computing power. And sure, it will soon have full self-driving capabilities when Tesla releases the software updates. But I must say it once again, the Plaid is not a sports car, it just has the engine of one.